Hello, investors, and welcome back to Just Randy Stocks. I want to talk about three topics. I want to talk about the direction of the U.S. economy and how the Fed's supposed to speak this week. It may give the market some stability and clarity. You know, there's going to be 4 rate hikes, supposedly. They're going to start in March. Much of the market was adjusting to get back to pre-pandemic levels. What are you using as tools to make those evaluations as everything drops? How are you deciding what is good value? And I want to talk about valuation, some tools that you can use to streamline your process. Let me know what tools you're using in the comments below. You can leave a link. I also want to go through 7 stocks that are on my watch list. I really like catalysts, and catalysts are just well-known dates or things that are relatively certain that are coming up, and the news hasn't broken yet, but the price may be low, and then as it approaches or the news is released for that catalyst, you could see a mega shoot up in the stock price. I've got a couple on my list, and then I think moving forward this year, I might make some strategic decisions that are a little bit different in my portfolio. I want to tell you about those. So if you're looking for a precursor, you want to see a video or interview that really summarize the economic policies that are used by the White House right now, or the direction and strength of the U.S. economy, this Davos Agenda World Economic Forum, Janet Yellen, 34-minute video. I'm going to leave the link in the description if you'd like to watch this whole thing. But just to let you know, the big takeaway that I got from this, to date, we have not seen large or persistent increases in long-term unemployment, indebtedness, evictions, and bankruptcy, and this would be much different than the previous financial crisis that we had. So we have a strong U.S. economy. We have businesses that are more resilient than ever. So what's been happening these last few days, especially today, with the market dipping about 1,200 points? I believe this is the first time that the market's ever lost 1,000 or even 1,200 points and completely recovered in the same day. Huge buying opportunity. I believe these levels recovered to what we closed on last Friday. A dramatic repricing is happening. And if you're looking for a market indicator on where are these levels going to go, pre-pandemic seems to be a place to start. Now, September of last year, if we take this conversation all the way back, there was supposed to be some tapering happening, but no rate hikes this year. Now, fast forward, we're looking at 4 rate hikes, and they're supposed to start in March. Now, have we done enough? Has this whole process done enough for equities as far as repricing? And that's what we're looking at here. And you can see in this article, the market's gyration reflects investors' uncertainty over how aggressive the Federal Reserve's inflation fighting measures will be, and possibly of conflict between Russia and Ukraine. So we're going to have 2 things that we've got to work through this week and maybe the rest of this year. Is we'll have to test to see how the market responds to the first rate hike. And then the risk is going to change, right? So right now it's Russia and Ukraine. Next week, next 6 months, whatever, it could be something different. Another one that we keep getting warned about is the risk of a cyber attack and its impact on the banking industry. And as people start to move their investments around, especially towards items like banking because of the rate hikes, and we're moving into a higher interest rate environment, that could be a risk. Now, of course, energy, materials, metals, industrials, and even copper mining, as they break new ground and they start to do some regulatory adjustments, you could see those becoming very popular topics or areas for investments. All right, let's take a look at a standard way that you could look at valuation, some tools that you could use if you're not using anything and you're curious, is it low enough? Is this a company I should be interested in? The first one I want to look at is Teledoc, where Teledoc Health is a global leader in whole person virtual care. This is a stock that has got a lot of attention from Cathie Woods. I'm not going to go into details about the companies, but I do want to show you why they look good from a fundamental standpoint. So let's go ahead and take a look at Earnings Whisper, because if they have not published a date for their earnings, this is earnings season. So this is a tool that I like to use. You can see it says February 23rd at 4:05 p.m., but that's just a guess based on what's happened in the past. And there may not be anything for the stock in here, but official press release will come out on their investors webpage. Now, the next place, really easy to use, is Yahoo Finance. They have a tab called Statistics, and they have valuation measures. And you can see here that it's got, as of last earnings, they had a 10.13 for price to sales, and you can see currently it sits at 7.53. And I would say anything around the 6 or 5 range would be relatively low. Now, of course, you want to know what the competitors sit at, but that could be one way to look at the information that's consolidated and already calculated for you. Another tool that I like to use is Ticker Terminal, or TIKR Terminal. And this has a very standard approach, and you can very easily see. I like to put this in quarterly buckets and just see, is revenue climbing? Is it increasing quarter over quarter? And do we have solid gross margins? And gross margins, or gross profit, is going to be the difference between revenue and the cost of goods sold. So how well are they managing their cost? And with inflation pressures, that's going to be a very popular topic that you're going to want to look at. You're also going to want to look at the balance sheet just to see if those fundamentals are in place. Do they have good cash on their balance sheet, especially if they're not profitable yet? Do they have the ability to burn some cash? And when are they expecting profitability? That's the next thing. Net income, you don't want it to be red, but is it reducing? Is it getting lower? And do they have a goal for profitability? So for your growth stocks, most likely the net income is going to be red. You want to avoid that if you really want something that's going to be on the safer side. I really like Teledoc, and you can see why. These increasing revenue numbers, very high gross margins, and this is a solid buy, I would say, in this range. Anything under 76, but of course, be patient, wait for the dip, keep your money on the side till it gets to a price where you've done your own due diligence. Now let's get into the rest of these stocks that I've got here. Now, of course, you can see Teledoc went above where it was previously on last Friday because this huge dip took place today. It went under the RSI indicator, and that's what you're going to see on most of these plays. I also like Proterra for the climate change. And you know, if you've watched my channel, I've covered this many times, and I was really happy to see that this had climbed back to where it closed previously, because I thought that we were at a really low price at 765, and there was an even better opportunity today. So just continue to be patient. Now, ChargePoint's also a climate change play that is on my list, and I think it's at a very low price. When this visited the $11 range, I still think it's very close to last Friday's price. Now, BBIG is also on my watch list for the dividend, and when that news and the clarity comes out for the Cryptide spinoff, I believe that this could also gain a lot of momentum. This week, I think we're getting very close to Astra announcing when they're going to do their next launch. This will be their second successful launch out of orbit. I think that could be a huge catalyst for this stock, and it's trading under $5. Let's take a look at their chart. Now, I would manage my expectations on Astra, but I do believe that a 20% gain in a day is going to be really good considering these market conditions. I do believe that Astra does have room to take off once we get the official press release on the launch window that opens up for Cape Canaveral, which is going to be their new launch location. Lastly, Senseonics is still waiting for the FDA approval. The CEO did a press release on, I believe, January 4th, saying that it was going to be a few weeks, and I believe this still has potential to get FDA approval before the end of the month. Let me know which stocks are on your watch list in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and give the video a big thumbs up. I'll see you in the next video.